Hi, and welcome to another week of WynActive Webcast. It's getting very close now. Next Monday we'll be opening up Aquapulse and Eagle Stadium, so we're really excited about that. But another big week of the WynActive Webcast with some great guests for you. First of all, how's the weekend, James, and how are you today?
I'm brilliant, Barry. Glad to be here, and did have a bit of a longer weekend off last week with a few extra days, so feeling refreshed. Got my activity in through my Find Your 30 challenge. That was the end of the third and final Find Your 30 challenge. So if everyone hasn't submitted their activity, jump on and do so now. But congratulations to those that had joined in across the past 6 weeks. Geez, that time has flown. So yes, we move into a new, almost a new time now with the build up to the reopening of your facilities that you've highlighted, Barry. So I'm sure there's some excitement there. But without further ado, would like to welcome our guest from Leisure Networks, Michael King, Manager of Business Development there at Leisure Networks. Welcome, Michael, to the WynActive Webcast.
Thank you, boys. Thanks for having me along. I've heard a lot of good things about these webcasts, so I'm privileged to be here.
Oh, the world famous WynActive Webcast, Mike. Thanks for dropping that one in. Appreciate it, and it's great to have you on board. And really looking forward to hearing about Leisure Networks and some of your insights to sporting clubs as well, and how they're coping. So tell us a little bit about Leisure Networks and what you do, and I suppose the range of programs and services you offer.
So thanks for asking. So Leisure Networks, we're actually in our 30th year this year. So we're celebrating like everyone else across the world, stuck at home and not able to get around each other and celebrate the history of the organisation. But Leisure Networks is just a not-for-profit organisation that sits across the disability and the sport, rec and health sectors. We're heavily funded in our sport, rec and health team, rely a lot on local, state, federal funding, Vic Health, those sort of areas, Sport and Rec Victoria. And then we've got our disability arm, which is heavily involved in the NDIS, and we're the trial site about 5 or 6 years ago. So the disability side is just about creating opportunities for people with disability to access life like anyone else. So our sort of vision, our mission is around connecting people with community. So wherever there's a gap or a need, we pretty much drop ourselves there and try and make it happen.
That's brilliant, Michael. Going back, I believe you're based out in the Geelong area and have begun branching out into the Wyndham community across the last couple of years. Is that correct?
Yeah, so Origin's sort of in the Geelong region, the G21, but in the last couple of years we've opened offices through Metro Melbourne, got 3 offices in Melbourne and also an office very close to you guys at the council there. Wyndham's such a growth area, so it's a great opportunity for us to position ourselves and join the market in regards to offering disability services, but also everywhere our NDIS goes, our sport, rec and health services follow, and a lot of networks like you guys, that sort of helps us get into the market and into the community, and that's what people want to buy. They want to buy relationships and networks, and we hope that we can do that.
What are some of the sorry, Barry, but I'm keen to know about some of the programs that you've run. I'm aware of a couple, but especially here in Wyndham. But what are some of the programs that you've run across these regions within the sport and rec area? Yeah,
so specifically in the sport and rec area, we offer a range of services pretty much for all areas of life, all ages of life. So literally from the age of 3 right up to 65, 70, we're sort of in that space. As you know, James, we've got a mini movers program, which is in kindergartens. That's all around physical literacy, which was in partnership with Wyndham City Council. And that's just about getting kids moving, because we know through Wyndham, the north of Geelong and some of the regional areas that physical literacy within kids at kinder is well below the national average, and they're moving into primary school, not being able to catch, throw, kick, and they're all fundamentals of life. So the mini movers program's one. That's from one extreme to the other extreme. We run some older adults groups in G21, but also in Wyndham. Wyndham City Council actually funded us to roll one out in the last 12 months around just getting people connected. So it's called Active and Connected, that project, getting older adults more connected, more active through movement opportunities. So and then anywhere in between that is we do a lot of club capacity building. So work in local clubs, so grassroots, right through to local government and state government, and through those pathways through to sort of semi-elite sort of competition with sports. So within the grassroots space, we range from strategic planning to gender equity work to governance work to fundraising and sponsorship, which is quite topical at the moment. It's been a dying art for a long time, but through COVID-19, everyone's trying to work out where the next dollar is going to come from. We literally build our services around where the gaps are, working with groups like Council and Sport and community to do that.
Mike, I'd like to take a step back a little bit, and we like to get to know our guests a bit. And so tell us about your journey a bit and how you've now got to Leisure Networks. What's your background?
Yeah, so I won't start at primary school. I'll move straight to so Geelong born and bred, but once I went to uni in Ballarat, like everyone else in Australia, sort of seemed to go through the Ballarat uni sort of space. I enjoyed my time there, finished my course, did a dip out in teaching, and then took my first job up in the northwest of Queensland, up a place called Mount Isa near Townsville, as a regional development manager for the AFL. Didn't know where the place was, didn't know how to get there. I just said to my family, I'm leaving, I'm taking this job. So I started with the AFL, and then I've spent time with the Australian Sports Commission in Perth. So I've travelled around the country a little bit. So I was based up in Perth, looking after the coastal area there around elite participation and athlete ID and some programming. And then slowly found my way back down this way with family and wanting to build a house and all the rest of it. And I worked for a charity called Canteen Kids with Cancer, based in North Melbourne, for a few years. And the most rewarding experience I've ever had in all my time working across non-for-profit, charity and federal government. And that work there gave me the values that have sort of hopefully instilled me in the person I am now. And amongst that, I also worked for local Surf Coast Shire for a couple of years down this way in local government. So I feel like I'm quite well rounded in my experience across all the sectors. And I found myself landed in a job where I've been here 6 years now, which is a non-for-profit organisation, but I actually get to work well and truly within the consulting and the for-profit industry around state government, federal government, and sport as well. So it gives me a really good mix of the grassroots and the good feelings with the high-level strategic conversations like we do with you guys as well. So that's sort of my journey along. My family are probably happy that I've finally come home, I suppose. So
brilliant. Michael, we've been fortunate enough to have a couple guests on recently from local Wyndham sports clubs, and they've talked to us about volunteering and what that means to us or what that means to them, and the gradual return to sport. I believe that Leisure Networks has been running a series of webinars for community sports clubs to get involved. What sort of topics have you been discussing, and what has the general feedback been from clubs, and where has their interest and questions been focused on?
Yeah, it's a really good question. We started this webinar series based off some conversations with council. So I sent out a bit of a thing out to a lot of our council that we work with, and just said that would you be interested? Would your clubs be supportive of a webinar series? We're going to offer it free and put it out there, and it's sort of our offering into the metro area of Melbourne, where we're not funded at all. It was just an offering to put out there to say we're here with you, we're here to support you, and this is what we can offer. We 100% are not specialists in a lot of areas, and we don't try and be. And I guess the success of the webinar series was not us, it was just the fact that we could bring the right people together. We had Moore Stevens, who are a financial planning company, offer up their time to deliver some finance support, and they talked a lot about they're actually quite topical and had a lot of questions around grants and stuff that have come out in regards to supporting clubs through these times. We had Harwood Andrews come on board and talk about the legal side of sports. So, if you've got a contract with your alcohol company for your club, or you've got a contract with a canteen manager, and all those sort of things, they came and talked about the legalities around a club and the fact pretty much the club have the power during a pandemic to really cut ties with things or put pause. We then had Vic Sport talk about strategic planning, not long term, right here and right now, strategic planning. And then we had also Vic Sport talk about pretty much member engagement. How do you engage your members when you can't do anything at the moment? What are the platforms and things like that? So we used all the experts in the field, brought them together. We had over 400 people across 4 forums attend. Great feedback, and really we got some really good learnings from those clubs that we actually then are going to, we're planning to pass them on to the industry and the councils, along with representatives from your council. So we'll be able to give councils stats on how many clubs from their council attended, and what sports they were from. So that was really beneficial. It was just a way for us to give back and actually support clubs at a time where a lot of things are unknown. And it was actually quite timely, because now we're moving to the other point where there's so many webinars that clubs are almost inundated with webinars. So we think we hit the mark quite well.
Mike, first of all, great to see another person that went to Ballarat. Good stuff. We're certainly a lot of us. My question is around volunteerism. I actually think it's the backbone of Australian society. It's almost a glue that holds things together. But far too often it's about too much falling onto too few people. Have you explored that at all, and especially now within this current COVID crisis?
Yeah, it's a really good point, and we talked about before that on another conversation. We talk heavily about volunteering, and what I've sort of come down to, which is my opinion and not based on stats or research or anything, is that the COVID situation at the moment can have a twofold effect. It can bring emerging leaders and volunteers that maybe are members that haven't actually ever put their hand up. It may create a fire in them to say, you know what, now's my time. What it also might do is it might burn out the dead wood, the old wood, in a way, like the committee members that have been on it forever and have said, I don't want to be on the committee, but no one else wants to be on, but they've never explored actually stepping off and allowing someone to come on. So it might burn people out. And whilst it does burn people out, it actually refers back to what I said before about you might remove people that have been there for a long time, but you might actually get some energy back onto the committee. And I think it creates opportunities to innovate, opportunities to do things differently. But I 100% agree with you that it will, and it is already burning out volunteers. We're going from a point where volunteers are poor for time, and then we're adding on roles like a COVID-19 officer on top of a welcoming officer, on top of a wellbeing officer. All these sort of roles, we're adding new roles on top of roles that are already there, and we don't have people to find them. So we end up putting the same people in the same roles, and the president's almost also the welcoming officer that's almost the person that's in the canteen. So we've just got to be really careful, I guess. And volunteering is a dying art, and a lot of the older generation are our volunteers. So we're not getting any younger. So it's a time, I think, that committees need to use this time to absolutely innovate, do things differently, potentially upset the apple cart a little bit, make some changes, and change might have short-term loss, but I feel like there is a long-term gain in there if it's done in the right way.
I think that resonates strongly, Barry, and for those out there that are considering volunteering, maybe this is the time, as you say, Michael, that it's not all about giving up 30 hours a week. It's similar to being active. It's those small little chunks of time that if you think you provide the 30 minutes, the hour here or there, then put your hand up and band together to help out your local clubs if you want to see sport continue.
Definitely. Mike, quick question for you. How has Leisure Networks adapted? And you've talked about webinars, podcasts, etc. But how has your organisation adapted to the current COVID crisis?
Yeah, it's a really good point. We were saying earlier that almost we all feel busier because we're doing things in a different way. So that's been the difficult part, trying to do the same stuff in a different way. I guess the things that have hit home, where rather than planning for months and months or weeks and weeks and then launching something, we're just jumping straight in. So learn on the fly, build the plane in the air sort of, analogy sort of thing, and we'll make mistakes and all that along the way, and we're just adapting as we go, because the good thing is people are very tolerant to IT issues. I'm finding they're not saying I'm time poor. They're saying, you know what, it's cool, I can't hear you or I can't see you, it's fine. But I guess in regards to your question, we've taken a lot of services online. We're interacting with people the same way as a lot of people online, through podcasts. We're doing some blogs as well, trying to connect with people through blogs. We're doing pretty much like I was saying, online sort of situations in the sport, rec and health space. A lot of YouTube clips, particularly mini movies and things like that. YouTube videos, launching things in lots of those different ways. Within our disability space, we've had quite an impact in regards to our group programs, because we can't run anything. So there's lots of use of IT, connecting in different ways through those platforms. So I probably haven't quite answered your question, but we've had to pivot and move wherever we possibly can, and unfortunately a lot of that's online, and there's not really a heap of other ways to do it. So I don't know if you guys have some thoughts on that or ideas.
No, I think the analogy there, where you're building the plane in the air, is certainly something that we've done, and I suppose these webcasts are a sign of how we've adapted, and it's been an interesting time, and we're going to learn a lot about ourselves when we look back. And I think we've had some guests, Barry, who have talked about, there's going to be some things that they're doing now that they're going to continue on with moving forward, because there is a demand for that online interaction now and into the future. So it's actually benefited their work and the development of a lot of their services and programs.
I think on that, James, you make a good point. I think we offer a lot of service around like strategic planning, a lot of areas in our sort of consulting arm, which is really important for our sustainability. And at this time, we might potentially freeze work or hold work, or we might lose customers, because a lot of it's you're building relationships online rather than face to face. But we've sort of pivoted in a way where we have delivered online, and when things do clear up, a lot of those services will actually probably stay online. So a meeting like this right now would stay online, but if I need to get a membership of a group of people around a room where we need a lot of engagement, then let's have that session face to face. So we can also mix and match a little bit. Our RSA courses, so responsible surface alcohol courses, we've been running them online, and they've been as successful, if not more, than face to face. So there's a lot of things that we've come out that we can limit travel in the future, costs around resources and things like that. And we've actually done some little studies internally, and a lot of our teams are actually more efficient online than face to face. So you can imagine the socializing in between all that. So we sort of need to find a bit of a mix, because a lot of people work in organisations for that interaction. So you sort of got to work out what's best.
Absolutely, you do, and we all know how important that socialisation is in our workplaces, for sure. And Mike, you've talked about Leisure Networks. What about yourself? What are some of the techniques you've used to get through this period, and are using?
Yeah, from a work perspective, or just
living, just all of it. We can talk about work, we can talk about personal, but at the moment, in many ways, they're so intertwined for those of us that are working from home.
Yeah. I guess like I was saying to you guys offline, we've got a 1 and a 3-year-old, so my hours aren't necessarily 9 to 5 or whatever. They're sort of here, there, and everywhere, wherever I can get the work done. And my wife also works as well, so we just do a lot of shift work, looking after the kids and stuff like that. But it's just being really well organised, and I think things do pop up every now and then that we can't control. But I suppose early on, I was trying to keep a really strict process and all the rest of it. It didn't work at all. Needed to adapt and be a lot more flexible. And if I had to miss a meeting, it was fine. It's okay. It was okay. Or if I couldn't turn the screen on because I was holding at the kid or whatever, that's okay. And it sort of has changed and forced me to adapt a little bit and be a bit more flexible than what I would have been beforehand. But in regards to work practices, the best thing is having a Surface Pro like this. You can work anywhere, anytime. So I found myself down at the playground on a seat some days, sitting at the front of the house, kitchen table, bedroom, out on the deck, whatever sort of works, to sort of get the work done and do it efficiently as possible. So there's sort of some of the techniques. And like I was saying to you guys before, lots of time on the screen. So when I have one-on-one meetings, I actually take them on my mobile phone and I'll grab the dogs and go for a walk at the same time. So just trying to interact or synergize being active with getting work done. That's sort of the technique I've tried to look at.
That's something, Barry, that we've highlighted in our Find Your 30 challenges last week, the incidental exercise. So I think that's a great tip where, if you can take a phone call, go outside and go for a walking meeting. And I know back when we were lucky enough to be in the office, we started the walking meetings, but they're a great way to socialise and to keep active and get out of the chair, because like you, Michael, I'm finding myself stuck in the chair a lot. But I think that's a great tip.
It's been actually interesting. It's a good question, because I think when we could only have 2 people at the very start, 1+1, I'd grab a staff member, and we're lucky down here with the coast, we'd go down a Torquay, walk along the beach, the two of us, and then as we could take 5 people, then a couple more jumped in, and then we're just sort of adapting the best we can, using those walking meetings, and getting off the screen time. Like we were saying before, you're on it all day and then you're watching a TV at night time. So just trying to really mix it in, because early on it was okay and we all adapted, and I think now we're all it's hard now. It's now getting hard. So it's just trying to put some lifestyle changes in there.
Very good. And of course, James, as you know, and Mike, we try to be positive, and all of our guests are really have I suppose a glass half full outlook on life. But we try and practice gratitude, and as a way of demonstrating our positivity. So, question for you today: what are you grateful for today?
I'm grateful for, to be honest, I keep saying it all the way through the pandemic, because of our industry that we're in. I'm grateful to have a job. Really happy to work in a great organisation where we've been able to hold our jobs at full capacity right through. So really grateful for that. And the great thing about that, it's we're all about the people, and I've always had really good people around me. So really grateful for that supporting environment to do the job the best we can and not feel that pressure around the pandemic. And that's probably where I stand. What about you guys? Throwing it back at you.
The challenge for us, Michael, is each time we have a webcast, we've got to be grateful for something. And I was thinking, Barry, back across the weekend, we've done so many of these, and then it's gone by so quickly, and it's been amazing, that I'm really grateful for the time and the effort that our guests have given up. They've done this off their own back when they're joining us. So I'm really grateful for their efforts and for giving up for their time to join us for a chat, and hope the listeners out there have picked up 1 or 2 things along the way. So thank you, Michael, and thank you to everyone else that's joined us over the past weeks.
Yeah, look, and that's great, and I'd endorse that. And everyone has been incredibly generous with their time and their sharing their own thoughts and experiences. That's for sure.
Barry, what about you today? What are you grateful for?
Well, recently I found myself, like, I grew up from a very young age. I read books at night before I'd go to sleep. You'd have a book and you'd read in bed or whatever. And over the last couple of years, probably I drifted away from that, and I just started, looking at Instagram and Facebook and Twitter and all of that stuff. And not that that's bad, but it's pretty meaningless, to be honest. A lot of it's drivel, to be honest. So I recently got a Kindle. Okay, now I know it's screen time, but it is a different type of screen, to be honest. And the ability to access books and read books in that way, it's easy to hold. I don't have to have the light on so my wife can go to sleep, etc. But just having that, and just the other day I got I read about a book called Coffee Land. And as you know, James, but I love my coffee. So I thought, great. Well, I was in bed, I just downloaded it and I started reading it there. It was so easy. It is interesting. It sort of explores some of the history of coffee. So I'm really grateful for my Kindle and the ability to read books a lot easier. And certainly I don't have a book. I used to have piles of books, that high. Now I've just got my Kindle there, and just reading that. And so that's what I'm grateful for today.
Brilliant. Michael, as we move, as restrictions begin to ease and, hopefully we can move back into somewhat of a normal routine, what's one thing that you're really looking forward to in the next coming weeks and months? What are you sort of, wanting to get back into and looking forward to?
It's a bit of a selfish one for me, but holidays. So during literally the day that we got locked down, as in like you can't move, you can't travel. The end of that week, so a couple of days later, I was actually meant to be in Perth with a group of friends that we go away with on a boys' trip every 18 months. So we look forward to that few days together. We travel somewhere in the country every 18 months, and that literally got cancelled within 2 days of the trip. And with two little kids, I well and truly they're the things I look forward to. You know what I mean? Like just that time away to refresh, recharge, and all the rest. And then we're meant to be away again last week for a week as a little family. So for me, it's holidays, being able to travel within the state and interstate. With our family are on the Gold Coast, so being able to shift and move a little bit more and have a bit more control over that would be good, because they're the things that for our family, they're the things that recharge us, and we always book a holiday after we come back from a holiday. So that's probably the biggest thing that I'm looking forward to at the moment. Yeah.
Isn't that wonderful? And we need to do that because it has been a very stressful time, but we also need to support the Australian economy as well and support all the businesses we know are doing it tough. So, even if we can spend a little bit here and there, it'd be fantastic. So, and you need the break. So that's a great one, Mike. I love it.
Well, I didn't want to, there was an option obviously to take the leave while I was at home, but I didn't quite work. It didn't quite work that well for me. Taking a week or two off to sort of sit at home and do what I was sort of doing anyway. So make the most of that when I can, and that's probably the biggest thing. Because a lot of we're still able to work through this. I'm still able to keep active. Starting to see friends and family a bit more, but that's definitely the thing for me. What about the two of you?
Oh, I think getting back into the office and interacting would be is something that I'm looking forward to. I will be honest, I've enjoyed the time at home and the extra few minutes that you get not having to commute to work and get in the car. So yeah, I look forward to finding the right balance of that, and I'm sure we will over time. But yeah, I don't know about you, Barry, but that excites me moving forward.
I'm looking forward to the footy. AFL, VFL, WRFL. I just want it back. Love my footy. Love going to see the Tigers. I love going down to see the Altona Vikings. I'd love to see all that back. And enjoying it.
That's
guys. Hey, look, it's been a wonderful day. Great having a chat, and I just want to say thank you very much, Mike, for sharing with us on many different levels. We really appreciate it. Thank you.
No worries. Thank you very much for having me, and good luck for the rest of the series.
Thank you very much, James. Been great again, mate.
Thanks, Barry. Thanks, Michael. Look forward to the week ahead and the countdown to reopening. So, thanks again, Michael, and we'll catch you tomorrow, Barry.
Absolutely. Look forward to it, James. Thank you very much for joining us. It's been another wonderful WynActive Webcast with Mike King. And as always, please look after yourself, look after each other, and keep smiling. Bye for now.